Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at this Ferris IS3000Z, good commercial mower, and it's got a 27 horse commercial Briggs V-twin on it. It's been a very good mower for my friend, and I'm gonna take a look at it today and figure out why it's running the way that it is. It's running with low power, it's popping and cracking every now and again. To me, it almost sounds like it's running on one cylinder, but we'll have to do a little bit of testing to figure out exactly what's going on. Nice day, short weather here this morning at about 5 a.m. So super happy about that. First time for the season. Let's get at it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as we go along if you enjoy the content. First, let's show you how it's running, and then we'll go over kind of the diagnostics to get this thing figured out. As you can tell, it's running extremely poorly. I tried just pulling up on the choking it just a tiny bit to see if I could get it running better, and I can't. It's surging kind of right now, which usually leads you to believe that we got some sort of fuel or air mixture issue, 9 times out of 10. But so in that case, I'm going to check the fuel supply, getting to the carburetor first, and just confirm that the fuel is good. Normally he uses ethanol-free fuel, but I just want to check and make sure that for some reason some water didn't get into the tank. On that tank cover over there, it looks like it's just got something shoved in the top as opposed to being a good cap like this. So if it's sat outside, it could definitely have some water down in the tank. So we'll check there first. You're just going to take at the fuel pump where it's going to the carburetor up front. We're going to take that line off, and that's going to tell you if there's any blockages through the whole system. Tell you what the fuel quality is when we get it into a container here. Normally though, if you add a little bit of choke and it starts running better, then you know right off top it's a fuel issue or a carburetor issue. Let's see as we turn it over, first off what kind of flow we have here, and second off if there's any water or anything in the fuel. Now this should just shoot out of there. It shouldn't be real slow flow. It should be real fast as you go to start this. That is a pretty slow flow, number one. The fuel looks a little bit cloudy, I'd say. Is it a little cloudy? Kind of hard to tell. Doesn't smell so hot. I think that's the first thing I'm going to do is hook up just an auxiliary fuel source and see if the fuel is the actual issue of what's going on here. Even though it doesn't look real cloudy, I don't really see anything in the bottom, but just to be sure that's not the issue, we'll start there. Make sure that it's nothing but fresh fuel. We can unplug the solenoid. We can take it off and completely drain the carburetor bowl out. Didn't really seem too bad coming out of there. Just gonna blow the fuel line from the top. And the solenoid is working okay. If this doesn't retract or come back out like that, and we know it's not functioning properly, you can plug it in and just make sure that it is working. Once you turn the ignition to on, it should retract like such. So we know our fuel solenoid is working. Reinstall it. So to make sure we have a good fuel supply, I have a clean tank. Of course, clean on the inside, not the outside. Just wanted to continue to drain. So to make sure we have a good fuel supply, I've got a clean tank here. Of course, clean on the inside, not on the outside. Just one we had laying around, and I'm going to hook it up going directly to the carburetor here. So this is a completely different fuel supply, and our carburetor is completely empty. We'll throw some good ethanol-free fuel in it. Should be plenty to get us going. Thought that was the right cap, but apparently it isn't. That's okay. We're just going to hold this up here so we're getting plenty of fuel to the mower. I don't have the choke on now. I'll hit that choke real quick. See what happens. Was actually able to get it to even out there with the choke, whereas before I wasn't able to. That's pointing me towards a likely carburetor issue, and I didn't like the fuel flow coming out of here either, or the color of the fuel. So what we'll do, we'll drain these tanks completely. We'll start off with some fresh fuel, no doubt, but even once we get fresh fuel, that's not going to solve the issue that we're having with the engine. It's likely a carburetor issue. We'll do a little bit further testing here just to confirm that. I'd like to just make sure we're running on both cylinders since it sounded a little bit funny earlier. And how we're going to do that is we're just going to pull one plug wire off, make sure it runs, and then pull the opposite one off. That's going to tell you that you're getting spark on each side and that you're getting compression on each side. So we know that cylinder's nice and healthy. It runs perfectly fine on its own. And now we know that the opposite cylinder over here is healthy also. Runs perfectly fine on its own, which means that there's no issue on either side with the valve trains and that there's no issue with the spark on either side. If it is a spark issue, it's an intermittent one. And normally you can hear that go in and out as opposed to be consistent like this one here is. We're going to pull this carb off and address a carburetor issue on this Briggs V-twin. Here we're going to start pumping the fuel from the tank. I use an electric fuel pump. You can do it however you'd like. And this one we just hook up to the outlet there before the fuel pump. We're going to hook it up to the positive and negative of the battery. And then I'll just start flowing. Again, it doesn't look horrible, but it doesn't look great either. I wonder if some water or something got down in it at some point. You always want to start fresh if you don't know exactly where the fuel came from and you don't know the quality. As it's kind of proven here, it would run fine with pretty well choked up there on our fresh gas, but it wouldn't with the gas that he had in it. If you're having an issue where one side or the other is not running, you can always test the spark on each side to begin with. Just take your plug out or grab another plug, and all you've got to do is insert and hold it in against the side, anywhere of the metal. You want to insulate yourself with a rag or something so you don't get shocked in between here and there. And then all you're doing is looking between the middle and the outside edge for a good spark. It should be consistent, and it should be a good blue color. So if one side or the other isn't running, check your spark first on both sides. If one side isn't sparking, obviously we have to take everything off, check the coil. The kill wire between could be grounded out, or something could be chewed off. We see mice in them all the time where that happens. Otherwise, if we're getting good spark, but it's not firing on one side, you want to take the valve cover off and address a bent push rod, stuck valve, bad head gasket. Could be a lot of different things if you're getting spark and fuel, which you know you are because the other side was running. This one is in this instance also, but you know you're getting fuel, you know you're getting spark. That means you're likely missing compression or airflow. Either plugged exhaust, intake that's clogged, but again, the other side worked fine, so we highly doubt that's the issue. Take a few 5/16 out of the top. And these are just plastic screws. We've got a few for the fan. These are going to be plastic screws, but they're a lot longer. You've got to take this off, otherwise your plastic will not come up. And this is just a plastic fan, which is kind of weird. You wouldn't think that'd be on a commercial unit, but hey. Got a few 3/8 around the side. One here. Should be one in back. There it is. One in back here. And these are all going to be the same size all the way around. Got a couple 5/16. These are also just little plastic screws. Got to be careful as these are a little bit shorter than those other ones. So keep those separate, but you're only going to have 2 of these and you'll have 4 of the others. So pretty easy to keep straight. They are the same length as the ones that hold the fuel pump on, but they're bigger around. And they have, the ones for the fuel pump have a bigger flange on them. So keep those separate. You don't want to try to shove this one in the hole for the fuel pump. Got one more 3/8 in back. Be careful you don't hit your positive terminal, especially if they don't have any rubber boot over it. 2 screws for the top. Take our air cleaner out. And we've got 2 3/8. And this whole assembly comes up and off. It's just a straight off. And these 2 3/8 that came out of there, and I'm talking about the head size, not the thread size. There'll be 1/4 20 threads on all of these 3/8 stuff, but they've got a flange here. So make sure that those go back into this location when we're putting it back together. I don't see any mouse damage or anything to that effect, which is always a good thing to see when you're opening something like this up. There are 2 in back that need to come off. These are hoses. This is for the EPA breather. It just comes straight down and out. Off of there, and then there's 1 hose in back, and it's just got a little grommet it fits in. You can also take it off of the breather. So that just pops out, sits just like that in there. This part just pops out, and you can also pop it up and off. You need those off so you can get the housing assembly off. This does have a manual choke cable to the front, so we'll want to remove that. I'll mark it first, just to know exactly where it came from. I don't ever have a problem resetting them or anything anyway, but if you do, definitely a good idea to mark it. Just comes down and out. Pull it to the side. Now we've got some Torx head screws, 1 here, 1 down at the bottom, and then 2 on the other side. I always like to use a long extension to get in here. Works well. It'll come right out. If you don't have a long extension, you can use a 3/8 for this and get on the outside. But to me, that takes a lot of extra time. Go, and they are all the same size. I've got the other 2 that are over here, 1 in this location and 1 up top. Now, as you see, the whole thing is off, detached. The only thing left holding this on is actually going to be the linkage here at the side. And then if we didn't unhook the power wire to the solenoid, which we didn't, that one you can just pull straight out from the solenoid like we did earlier. But this, if you come kind of up and at an angle, it's going to just pop right out of there. Come up, kind of at an angle, and that comes right out of that hook. Now we're completely free, able to take it away. We're going to take the choke assembly off here first. So we've got 2 5/16 nuts there on the front, or bolts on the front, I'm sorry. And then we've got 1 T25 that sits up top. Goes straight down through here. Then this whole assembly will come out and off. So you just move it to the side and it'll pop out from there. Move it to the side, through, and pop straight out. We'll set all that to the side, make sure you remember which one this goes in and how it sits, just like such. Now we can take off the 4 7/16 nuts in the front. And then this all comes straight towards you and off. That's free. I'm gonna clean all this junk off of here before we get it all put back together. But this gasket has to come off. We've got a new one, luckily. If you don't, you're likely gonna have to get one or be very careful taking this off. They are brittle most times. And that's gotta come off because there's little flanges here on these bolts that hold it together. This is going to be an internal Torx, number 5. If you don't have one of those, you can use a pair of vice grips or a pair of pliers just right here at the star end, and you can get it loose, but it's much more difficult to do that way. Now our carburetor is completely free. Break it away from the seals and back. Nothing really looks in too bad of shape, honestly. Stuff looks halfway decent. Take our piece off. Remember, the little notch goes to the upside. Just leave that over to the side. And we'll get this carb completely taken apart here. I always love to use my pliers to break these free. Other people say they don't have any issues with them. Come in with just the regular screwdriver portion. Of course, I'm getting gas all over the place, so that's fine. So I get this off, I'll get a nice clean rag. Just pops straight apart. Wow, I can't believe how clean that is in there. Don't really see anything at all as far as, well, a little debris there. I don't know if that just got there or if it was there before. Have to look again. We'll get this all cleaned off before we go much further. Ensure that none of this junk's going to be in there once we get the carb all cleaned out. I'm using just gum out carb cleaner on this. You can use whatever you like. Just don't want it to ruin the gaskets as you're doing it. Gum out just seems much less nauseous to me. Doesn't burn your eyes or anything like some carburetor cleaners do. Put that to the side now that it's halfway clean. Address the bottom bowl. Now there is quite a bit of stuff in there. See if we can't clean that up when we clean the rest of the carb. That stuff could very well flake off and cause quite a bit of issues getting up in the jets. But the jets, again, look very clear. Get the carb soaking here a little bit. Got our pin, comes straight out. Gotta make sure you don't try to take it out the side where the flat part is. It'll ruin the aluminum. Needle and everything looks real good. Don't really see anything there that would cause any issues. Gasket looks good. Check everything down through. The pilot jets don't look bad either. Spray down through here. So that pilot jet here is actually completely clogged. I cannot see through it. You should be able to see a perfect light through it. And this other one is partially clogged also. So that's not a good thing. We'll want to get those completely cleaned. Spray down through all of those jets. We should be able to also see perfect circles straight through here. If you look with light behind the end, those are good, all clear both ways. And then down through, we can see through both of those pilot jets now. Good shape. We will want to replace that gasket. Probably might replace this tube. It comes with both gaskets, the gasket here and on the other side. And then see how those jet gaskets are. The O-rings around those actually look pretty good. If you pay attention to which jet goes where, I'm not sure that they're different sizes, but they may be. Let's see what this one says. So this one goes on the right-hand side if the tubes are down, just like such. Got a new fuel transfer tube. Put our gasket in here. Put our O-ring, or our jets with the O-ring on either side. If that doesn't fit down in there real snug, you will want to replace those O-rings also. Luckily these are good because I don't have any. Otherwise I'd probably go ahead and replace them anyway. Now this only sits on there one way. Put it back down there. Snug that one up, put the other one on. Tighten them both down, good to go. I've got the plate gasket for the top. Just like such. You want to make sure that's clear too. If any of that got off onto there, you want that to seal perfect. That looks great. Take this front gasket off. Same razor blade to scrape it. And again, this is between the carburetor and the intake, so it needs to be completely clear. Finished cleaning this all up. Let it sit for a little while yesterday. Ran out of time. Use a wire brush in the bottom. Should come clean fairly easily. I think maybe with this brush I'm putting more in there than was in there. Stuff was a little bit harder than what I thought it was. Thought it was just going to kind of wipe right out. Still got quite a bit down there. At least it's another warm morning this morning. It's supposed to get a little bit cooler actually this afternoon, but another day with some short weather. I can't complain. Oh, there goes my wire brush falling apart. Never good if you put wire bristles into your carburetor. stuff just does not want to come completely out of there. Just a bunch down in there. Well, the rest of that looks pretty superficial. Still got a little bit of, I'd just say discoloration. All that crust and stuff that was on there is gone. I'll call that good to go. Make sure everything's clean as we're putting it back together here. Needle and float is all good. Wherever it went. Kind of spray this off a little bit. Make sure it's 100% clean. And we will reinstall straight down in. Then you want to make sure again that flat spot is going to go from the left side over. You will want it to get all the way in the other side, but you don't want to try to push that side in first. It's not going to do you any favors. Everything's extremely clear now. You can spray. There are a couple little jets down in here. They do get clogged up every now and again. You can spray all down through here also, through all these passageways. Not going to hurt anything doing that. Seemed like that one actually had quite a bit in it. You can see it spraying out the bottom right here when you spray each side of these bottom ones. Cleaner the better through all of this. Okay. Get our bowl gasket back reinstalled. And then, didn't want to stay in there. Looks like it may have shrunk just a hair. Going to install the gasket on the nipple down in the bowl. And then we're going to put everything together. And when we put it together, your assembly here has to be to the left if you're looking at the front of the carburetor. If you try to put it on the piece, on the transfer tube first, it just doesn't like to go up in there right. And sometimes it'll get to an angle and it won't seal off. It's the easiest way, in my opinion, is to put it just on that little tube. Tighten it down. Now the carburetor is ready to go back on the intake. So one thing I did not have as I was going through this, I did not have the correct intake gaskets. I did have some Kawasaki's that are the same bolt pattern. So I'm going to use those, and they are a little bit thinner than the others, than the OEMs. So I'm going to double them up actually. This is just to get right out the door. The most important part of anything when you're doing these is that if you're looking at your assembly here, right around this circle is where everything should seal. If it's not sealing around these circles, you're not going to get a good seal and it's not going to run well. So it should be perfectly lined up with those. And if it's not, do not use that gasket. This is 100% perfect. I mean, it's exactly the same size. But again, since they're a little bit smaller, just to make sure we're not going to run into any issues, I'm going to double them up. Never hurts to double a gasket. Perfect. 2 on each side. And then you do want to make sure that this is installed just like such before you put all this back together, because you can't get it in after you install it on the intake here. And again, we scraped all the gasket. Everything is clear on both sides. So what we'll do, put this all together and we'll get our 4 studs. We'll start snaking those through. There we go. It's hitting on this fuel line up top, so it's throwing me a little bit of obstruction. Not a huge deal. Everything's still lining up good. Everything still comes flat. I wonder if I could have installed it upside down of that. I'm not really sure. I didn't try. I got my little nipple on backwards here, as I was telling you guys to make sure that the nipple went up. Again, I'm not really sure that that makes a difference. We're going to make sure that that's the way it goes back on, since that's the way that it came off. I'm going to turn this whole thing around, and that'll help me with them getting bothered by the fuel line also. This all flips upside down. Oh, hey, this should go on there a little bit easier. There we go. All right, that's a little bit better with the little tab there at the top as opposed to the bottom. Everything lines up perfectly and it went together a lot smoother. So I'm glad we had that fixed before putting it back together. Now we can tighten everything up. Use our Torx again. Our internal Torx. Now we're ready to put the gasket on the front. This is a Briggs Stratton one that I had here. Don't need to double it up, of course. And then go straight back on. Got our 4 nuts. And then we'll bring our assembly here. So if you remember, this has got to sit out here so it can grab onto the choke cable. Got this here, goes in and around. Now we've got our two on the front. And then our 1T comes up through the top. Or down through the top, I mean. And this thing's ready to go back on. The gasket came off the intake pretty clean. On the other side, wow, came off clean there too. It's pretty amazing. Try the other side. Just like that. Super simple. Take a razor blade and just kind of run it across here. Make sure there's nothing kind of left. These do come with Loctite on the threads. I don't agree with that. I don't think there's any reason for it. Never had one back out. If anything, I've seen them seize and lock up coming out more than I have anything, especially these top ones because they come through the backside. As I'm looking here to put this back on, I'm realizing that the bowl is on backwards. I was thinking as it's coming towards you, you need to have the solenoid to the left, which is true, but with this one being backwards, it's opposite. So it is to the left, but unfortunately, this has got to flip around. Just going to take it back off. Put that O-ring back in. Gasket's still in good place. Otherwise, you're not going to hook it up very easily. All right, now it's the right way like it should be. To hook all this back up, we need to get our linkage going from the throttle into the governor arm. So like we did last time, we're just going to pull up here a little bit and hook that in. Now that it's attached, we can throw some new gaskets on. We can also plug our fuel solenoid that's on the right side here back in. Start over here with this gasket. Get it down in and get a bolt started. Once you got one, the bottom will go better. It's kind of hard to line up without using your extension again. That's okay. And it is nice and loose. It wasn't stripped. We don't want these all the way in yet though, because we've got to start the other side. With that Loctite on there, sometimes it's hard to get started or feel like it's started because you feel like it's stripping. As long as you've got it lined up straight, you're good. Same thing on this side. Get our top one started. Maybe. Move that back a little bit to get everything lined up. The other one I think is just a hair too tight to get everything going. Loosen the other bolts. Still want them in there, you just want them loose enough so you get some room to work. There we go. I think it might have actually been just the bolt head itself, the other side of it, that may have been stopping me from getting it all lined up. Either way. Now we can hook back our two up over here. And again, with this one, get all that cleaned off of there. But all that's going to do is just shove right in the hole on the back side, and this just goes right down in the bottom onto the tab at the breather. Great, and then we got our one, the line that goes to, it actually goes to the vent on the fuel tank normally, but this one goes to nowhere. We'll hook it up anyway. Go ahead and hook the fuel lines back up. Test everything before we put everything back together. No reason not to. When we finish draining this, we did put some new fresh fuel in there, so we should be solid. We got the choke cable that comes over, comes straight through the bottom. I love it when your table goes down a little bit when you're trying to work. And then we've got the marking, if you want to use that marking. Basically want to be, if you're all the way off choke, you want to be there, which is quite a bit different than where it was set. So I'm going to reset this as opposed to using it like it was. Now I'm off choke. Now I'm choked, off choke, choked. Didn't seem like maybe that choke was even working all the way with where it was set. I mean, it was set way, way over here. So it wasn't choking nearly as much as it should. Full throttle. Some choke. Before we put the cover back on here, I'm just going to reinstall this air filter. I did not clean it or anything. You can see it's still dirty. There's a bunch of stuff coming out of it. But just for all of those of you who are going to say, oh, well, it was the air cleaner, which doesn't make any sense because it ran good with the fresh fuel. Once we choked it, see what happens. Still runs perfectly. It wasn't that issue, of course. Let's start to put this top back on. It's just interesting the comments we get sometimes. Someone called me fake news the other day. So that was interesting. Asked for some clarification, but never got any. Oh well, hey, people will always say things no matter what you do. Remember, these two are going to go right here into the air cleaner. Got a little bit different flange. I'm not going to tighten those up yet until I get the rest of them started. Otherwise, it ends up being pretty difficult. They never seem to want to line up if you start tightening them up before the other ones are started. Good there. And then again, you got the two that have the bigger flange and the smaller diameter. I'm going to go here on the fuel pump. Oh, looks like I tightened this one up before putting that in there. Come back and get our oil cooler in there. Got the two at the back, again, that are bigger diameter. They go in the oil cooler there. Now we've got the, I guess you can call it a guard on top. It's a little bit of a strange bit of a guard, but and then we've got our real guard on top. barely big enough for these screws to fit through. Well, another carburetor cleaning video wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but as far as I can tell, there's not a whole lot of these videos out there anyway on the commercial Briggs V-twin. That should be able to help somebody out there anyway if you're having the same or a similar issue on a Briggs V-twin commercial engine, on whether it's a Ferris or a Gravely or Bad Boy, Big Boy, any mower out there that's got that same issue. You can use these same techniques to figure out exactly what's going on. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the content. Thank you for watching and have a great day.